Hello students, welcome to Shorop's classes. So in today's video we'll be discussing about international economics from Ricardo to Krugman. So as you know, we are talking about Ricardian theory of comparative advantage. So first, in last video we talked about the basics understanding of Ricardian theory. So in this model we'll develop the model further. So in this video what I'll do is I'll simply develop the model further. So we know one factor economy, so what we know about Ricardian model is it is one factor economy. So first of all, let us suppose we consider the present American economy, which has only one factor of production, which is labor. So the first thing we need to know that there is only one factor of production. There is only one factor of production. That is what? That is labor. So there is only one factor of production, that is labor. The second point is given as it produces only two goods, wine and cloth. So it produces two goods, wine and cloth. So it produces two goods, wine and cloth. Now, America's technology is summarized by its labor productivity in each industry expressed in terms of the unit labor requirement. So it is expressed in terms of the unit labor requirements. So the number of hours of labor needed to produce a unit of wine or a unit of cloth. So it is labor productivity is determined by what? So the third point, labor productivity is determined by what? Labor productivity is basically determined by the number of hours of labor needed to produce a unit of wine or a unit of cloth. So it is what? It is the number of hours of labor so it is the number of hours of labor. So it is number of hours of labor required or needed to produce. It is number of hours of labor needed to produce what? It is needed to produce 1 unit of wine or a unit of cloth Now we denote the unit labor requirement in wine and cloth production as AW and ALC. So now we'll develop the model. So it is given, we denote the unit labor requirement in wine and cloth production as requirement in wine and cloth production as ALW which is the labor needed for wine production, and ALC, that is the unit of labor needed for cloth production. Now thus the opportunity cost of cloth in terms of wine is ALC by ALW. Thus opportunity cost of cloth in terms of Y is opportunity cost of cloth in terms of wine is in terms of wine is what? In terms of wine is equals to ALC divided by ALW. So what did we do here? We know the unit of labor requirement in wine and cloth production is given as ALW and ALC respectively. Now we know opportunity cost of cloth in terms of wine is what? It will be ALC divided by ALW. Now the economics total resources are denoted by L, which is total labor supply. So we also know economies total labor supply, which is economics total resource, is denoted by capital L. So the limits on production are defined by the inequality. So the limit of production are defined by the inequality ALC, which is the 1 unit cost of labor into quantity of C, plus ALW plus quantity of wine equals to capital L. So this will denote it by the first equation. So now we'll go further with this. Here the QC is American production of cloth and QW is American total production of wine. Now what I'll do is we'll simply draw a diagram to show it. So first of all we'll draw a diagram to show it. In this diagram, on the horizontal axis we'll take cloth and the vertical axis we'll take wine. On the horizontal axis we'll take cloth and on the vertical axis we'll take wine. Now we'll simply draw a line which eventually says the slope, which is opportunity cost of cloth in terms of wine. So we'll draw a line which is PPF. It is production possibility frontier. It will be like this, and it is what? It is PPF of America. Now here we'll write it by FP. Now we know this is the equation. So when at this point, as you know, this is cloth, so at this point wine weighs 0, so it will be ALC QC equals to labor. As this becomes 0, so the quantity of cloth at this point will be L by ALC. So it will be L by ALC. So we'll denote it by L by ALC, and here it will be L by ALW. L by ALW. L by ALW. So here we have drawn. Now the opportunity cost will be what? Opportunity cost will look like this. So it eventually say we'll denote it by A, B and C. So opportunity cost is how much opportunity you have lost in terms of the production of Y. So it will be opportunity cost of what? It will be loss, and this will be opportunity gain. As you know, you are losing this much to gain this much of cloth. So this is what? This is opportunity cost, or it is also known as slope. So it is also known as slope, which is slope equals to opportunity cost of cloth in terms of Y. Opportunity cost of cloth in terms of Y. So now I'll simply explain this model. So in this model it is given. So in this figure, you know, as you can see, FP is the straight line production possibility frontier of America. Now it shows the maximum amount of wine that can be produced after deciding to produce a fixed amount of cloth, and vice versa. It is determined by the fixed labor supply L, which was this. It is determined by the fixed labor supply capital L. The PPF is straight line because there is only one factor of production. So we need to understand what the PPF is straight line. Why? Because there is only one factor of production, which is labor. So there is only one factor of production. This is why the PPF is straight line. Now, this means that opportunity cost of cloth in terms of Y is constant. So this is constant. This means opportunity cost of cloth in terms of wine, which can also be determined as ALC by ALW, is what? It is constant. It is constant. So now we know the opportunity cost is equals to absolute value of slope of PV, which is AB by BC. So opportunity cost is, in this diagram, is what? It is AB by BC. It is AB by BC is what? The opportunity cost in this diagram. So for a movement from A to C, we know what? The vertical distance between AB shows the opportunity lost, and the horizontal distance between BC, which is this, shows what? The opportunity gain in terms of cloth production. So we have done what? So far we have just explained. So we are talking about one factor economy. We have said there is only one factor, which is labor. So there are two production which are taking place, wine and cloth production. Labor productivity is determined by the number of hours labor of needed to produce 1 unit of wine or a unit of cloth. We know the labor requirement for 1 unit lever requirement from wine production is ALW, and for cloth it is ALC. So we also know the opportunity cost of cloth is what? ALC by ALW. So from there we can simply write down the economy's total labor supply or total resources, which is capital L, which will be equals to this. From there we can draw this diagram. So what is our take from this video? It is that we have to remember what is opportunity cost, and it is ALC by ALW. So opportunity cost we have found 1 unit of labor is what? Opportunity cost. Now from there we have formed this inequality, and from there we can see this diagram that we have shown. Now in the next video what I'll do, I'll proceed further with this theory. I'll go now to what? I'll now go to relative prices and production. Now after this I'll straight go to relative prices and production. I hope you guys have understood the concept that I talked about in this video. If you still have any doubt or query, you can simply WhatsApp me on this number, which is 9836793076, or you can also go to our website, which is www.showupsearchclasses.com. There you will find a lot of other videos like this, and you will also get to see a lot of other materials which are needed for different entrance exam. So thank you for watching this video. Have a nice day ahead.